Welcome home to USA Global TV and Radio, a place where dreams take flight, with authentic storytelling, diverse perspectives and meaningful conversations, where global stories unite and bridges are built beyond all borders. Discover world-class education, entertainment, hope and inspiration. Together, we're building bridges worldwide. Subscribe to our channel, USA Global TV. Download our app, USA Global TV. Be our guest or join our team. Visit usaglobaltv.com. Thanks to our founder and executive producer, Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck. Music score by Yeffy Tang from Cloud Road Music. Voiceover artist Mike Porter. Creative direction by Paul Garcia. USA Global TV and Radio. Your home for global connection. All rights reserved. This video and its contents are the exclusive property of USA Global TV and Radio. Unauthorized use, duplication or redistribution in any form is strictly prohibited.
What happens when you have a mutual acquaintance who becomes someone you really rely on in so many ways? We're going to find out today on this episode of Dr. Jacalyn Unscripted. My guest today is Alison Mcbain, and we are going to be talking initially about the wonderful Mickey Mickelson from Creative Edge. Let's welcome award-winning author Alison Mcbain. Hello, nice to have you today.
Oh, well, thanks so much for having me. It's great to see you again.
Thanks. It's great to see you as well. And I love the yellow. I love the brightness. It just makes me smile.
Yeah, this is my office. This is where all the magic happens. And yeah, I love being surrounded by bright colors because it just, I don't know, it keeps you awake. It keeps you on focus. I love it.
Absolutely. And our environment really does make a difference. So I mentioned at the top of the show about Mickey Mickelson. Mickey has been sending us people like yourself for, I think, 5 years now. And I just am amazed at the caliber and quality of clients that he has. What's your experience been with Mickey?
Oh, it's been fabulous. I definitely love what he does, what he represents. And he's just such a positive person too, so like, it's just a pleasure to always talk with him. But yeah, I actually met him originally because I was a book reviews editor for a magazine, and he would send me clients say, oh, would you like to take a look at one of their books? And I always had a wonderful time reading his clients' books. And so when I had the opportunity to myself, reach out for a publicist, his was like the first name that I was looking for. So.
And I would highly recommend him also. So a question I have, because many times we interview people who do not have a publicist, let's say, and they've written a book, or maybe they're a keynote speaker, but they don't actually have anyone who's promoting their work. And this story I'll get from people is, that's only for people who are really successful. And I say, well, what about you? Do you have plans to be really successful? And if so, who's going to help you on that journey? What are your thoughts about that, Alison?
Well, I definitely would say that you don't necessarily need a publicist when you're just starting out. Like, especially if you're an author and you're planning on writing multiple books, you sort of want to learn the ropes first. And a lot of that is very valuable experience that you can carry with you when you do start a relationship with a publicist and have them help you promote your brand. But it does help. At least in my case, it really helped to get started first and sort of figure out what I was doing, and then reach out to Mickey to really augment and really help me get to the next level, I would say.
And I think kind of what we're touching on here that's really important is, many times we have imposter syndrome where we don't think we're worthy. So did you ever experience that?
Oh my goodness, I experience it every day still. I don't know about you. Like, there's always another metric, and it's really hard not to compare yourself to others, isn't it? Because you can always say, oh my goodness, this author got this award, or this author, they hit this platform before I did. Like, so it's hard, especially as a new author, to shut out that voice that is like screaming at you, like, okay, you're not good enough. You're not doing the right things in the right order. So what really helps is just to sort of shut out all that noise, to sort of focus on what you're doing, tell your own story, and just celebrate your own successes and not try to compare yourself to anyone else. It's hard, but it is definitely worth it.
It's kind of like we have to take that noise inside of our head and just tune it out and focus on what we're doing. And I know myself as an author, I think I've published 26 books or 28 books, I'm not sure, but I no longer am really concerned with making money because I wasn't making the kind of money that I thought I would be making. In fact, I checked my Ingram Spark account a couple of days ago and I sold 2 books and I was like, who are those 2 people? I'd love to go find them and thank them. So now I carry my books with me and I sign them and I give them away sort of as a calling card, as a business card. Have you ever thought of doing that? And if so, has it worked out or is it something you're completely against?
I'm definitely not against it. I do give out copies of my books. I do giveaways. I also, for reviews, I do give out copies for reviews. It can definitely help spread the word because the way I feel that a lot of books do get to the next level is by word spreading, by word of mouth. It's not necessarily like, oh, I'm going to pop an advertisement on Facebook. That's that's never worked for me, honestly, like just straight up advertising. It's, going out, giving talks, doing workshops, meeting people who really enjoy the genres that I write in. And sometimes it is that, that personal touch. Okay, I'm going to give you a signed book and let me know if you like it. And guess what? In your case, I have these 25 other books you can also read, so that can definitely be helpful.
I agree with you. It's at least for my children's series, I will sign 1 or 2 books, and then I'll say, "Well, there are 9 others that you can buy." And if so, please do leave a review. And I find 0 reviews. I mean, one person actually did leave a review, and I had to thank them in person. But most people, even when they get the book for free, do not leave a review. So, what do you think the whole philosophy is? People don't want their name out there, or they just don't feel like doing it?
Oh, reviews are like finding nuggets of gold because yeah, it's really hard. I don't know what it is. I guess it's just like inertia. Um, I feel because people will really enjoy books and they will be happy to talk to you about how much they enjoyed a book. Did you post a review? No, no, I didn't post a review. Like it's that added step. So it'd be great if we could just, at the end of reading a book, like especially if it's an ebook, just go straight to the review. And I know a lot of authors have a link at the end, but still people don't go. So
They
I
don't
don't
go.
know.
And actually, I've interviewed a woman, Dr. Judith Briles, and she shared with me that in her books, she has a bookmark that she created that has the link that you can't click on it. You actually have to type it in. But I tried with the bookmarks and then people just lost them. So I tried putting business cards and, I'll be walking through the gym, which is where I give a lot of them out. I see the business card on the floor and I think, okay, that's not happening. It kind of makes me feel sad that, but it is what it is. And so I think we do what we do for a higher calling, whatever that calling might be. But when you started to get published, did you have aspirations for getting rich and famous from this?
Um, I feel like whatever endeavor that we start out, we always want to do the best that we can. Um, I would say that's my most diplomatic answer that I can give on this. Um, everyone wants to take it to the next level. For example, one thing, if you talk to most authors, of fiction especially, they'll say, "Oh yes, I would love if my book went on to be like a film or TV series just because it will reach a wider audience." That is something that we all hope that, you know, our books will inspire others to, you know, live a better life, live their best life, or, maybe even take up the pen themselves and become writers because they were so inspired. I mean, I was inspired by so many authors growing up and even today, there are so many authors I'm like, wow, they did such a beautiful job. Like it just makes me want to go out and write myself. So yeah, there are many avenues to success. And I feel like, again, part of saying, yes, I'm going to be a billionaire, I'm going to be like J.K. Rowling, I'm going to make so much money, is unrealistic in a lot of ways. As long as I can support myself and get my words out there and have people who love what I do, that to me is the most important thing.
It's very true. And, one of the things that I think about, because I take business courses and I follow, let's say, Mel Robbins, and she was going through what she went through. And then she wrote this book, I think the 5-second rule, something like that, and the let them theory. And all of a sudden, boom, it's like your whole life, your trajectory goes to a new level. Excuse me. And so I wonder in the business school that I'm in right now, they're always recommending books. And I think, well, how do you get on that recommended list? What do I have to do to get my book on there? And so I think it's a matter of continuously putting yourself out there. Like you were talking in the beginning about doing keynote speeches, about doing workshops so that people can see you. Because I don't know what the statistics are, but every day right now while we're speaking, people are publishing books on Amazon. And so you have to be able to differentiate yourself. When did you realize that you were comfortable being a visible public figure?
I don't think I think I'm still not comfortable with it. I am.
It's too late, Alison.
I know. I'm definitely an introvert, and when I tell people that, they're like, "Really? You're an introvert, but you speak at all these things and you're very comfortable talking to anyone." I'm like, "Yes, but inside I'm dying a little." Like I've always been sort of shy of the spotlight, so but this is just a part of the job almost, and I love that people want to talk to me. I love that people want to hear about my experience, not just with writing the books, but also my journey there. And again, it's about hopefully inspiring the next generation of readers and writers, who will want to follow a path similar to mine, maybe. So I'm happy to put myself out there. I'm happy to be uncomfortable doing it, and hopefully, it doesn't come across. I remember the first time that I ever spoke in public about my writing. I got up. I had a printed page that I was supposed to read, and my hands were shaking so badly I had to stop. I'm not at that point anymore, thank goodness. But I still get butterflies in my stomach every time.
I do too. And I can relate to what you're saying because I'm also an introvert and people are like, what are you talking about? But
Exactly.
I find that being in the public domain or even like at the gym, for example, it takes a lot of energy because you have to be paying attention, listening to what people say. And in this environment where you're writing or speaking or producing, it is exhausting. And so I find that I want to just pack my bags and go crawl in a hole somewhere for a while.
Yeah, and I am so amazed at everything you do. Like you wear so many hats, and it's again, no one would ever guess that you were ever uncomfortable doing any of the really amazing things that you've done. Being a leader in so many industries, it's amazing.
Oh, that's so sweet. Thank you. I really appreciate that. I want to go over to your website so that we can talk about your books specifically. And maybe you can tell us when we go to the website, which is AlisonMcbain.com. We're on /books. Tell us about this. I love this, the New Empire. The book cover really draws me in.
Oh, thanks so much. I actually, one of my mottos is do something creative every day. So one thing that I like to also do is I like to do art. I like to do design. So I actually designed that book cover. So thank you so much.
Great.
Yeah, so that book is an alternate history, and it asks the what if question. What if in the history of the world, instead of Europeans reaching North America first, what if the Chinese did? How would that have changed the course of world history? So that is like it. My imagining was that it would have changed it quite a bit.
So, Alison, what kind of research did you have to do for that?
A lot. So it's a huge it's a very cross-cultural type of book. So in addition to the Chinese, there are many different indigenous groups that are in the book. So I had to do a lot of research on not just living practices, but also language, everything from what they would wear at the time to what the landscape looked like. Because we talk about stuff like how the climate has changed, how there's many more people nowadays than there were. The book was set in the 1700s. But it has also changed our physical environment. So looking at the landscape of California nowadays, where the book is set, it was much different when you go back 300, 400 years. So like making sure that that was all accurate too. So it was a lot of research, which I love, because my background is in history and I love history. And if you look to my left here, you would see like my bookshelf is just full of history books.
So, do you believe that, based on your experience, that history repeats itself? Is that an accurate statement?
Oh, unfortunately, yes. And mostly it is the mistakes of history. So, you take something like a large war, and, after a war is over, people say, oh, never again. We learned our lesson. We did such terrible things. We're never going to do that again. And then a couple decades pass, and then all of a sudden there's another war going on. Yeah, it's unfortunate seeing that long pattern. And it's unfortunate that more people don't see that and more people don't take that to heart and avoid the mistakes of the past.
Absolutely. It's interesting because we had a TV show host here for a long time, and she used to talk about the fact that you can't have peace without war. And so if there's never war, you don't appreciate peace. And I've always remembered that, and I try to process it and think how I feel about it. She was saying it's not possible to be in a world where there's 100% peace all of the time. I don't know how I feel about that. What are your thoughts?
I would say I somewhat agree, just based on human nature, and how short our memories tend to be. um, we tend to go to extremes in a lot of ways. So if something is going too well, then we're waiting for the other shoe to drop, right? If something is going badly, oh, if only we were back 50 years, that would have been perfect. But 50 years ago, there were problems then too. So it's the whole grass is always greener, I think, mentality. Yeah, it's hard for us to see just sort of monochrome. We have to have those extreme highs and lows that really, I don't know, mark the human experience. And that's something that we write about too. Conflict drives the story forward. So we put our characters through really, really terrible things that we ourselves as authors would never want to experience, but it makes for an interesting story.
Absolutely. And I think, just with the background that I have in media, one of the things that I have to say I'm raising my hand on is I like to watch shows that have a lot of violence. I don't know why. I like ice hockey because they're pounding people against the I don't know why. It doesn't make any sense because I'm not an advocate, I'm a peace ambassador. But there's, I guess, something that it's a make-believe world. But the truth is, it goes on in the real world every day. And when we see it, we're horrified. But yet we could see it on television or read it in a book, and we're in some fantasy world. What do you think that's about?
I don't know. I just so my daughter and I are actually just watching The Sopranos now, and I had never seen it before. And I was, because I was like, oh, it's about horrible people. Why would I watch this show? And I got sucked in. But yeah, I guess we're looking for something that we would never want to experience ourselves, because hopefully we are sane and don't want to put ourselves through terrible things. But it gives us a sense of comfort maybe in our own worldview. So terrible fictional things, it's safe because it's fiction, are happening on the screen, and we can watch it and enjoy it because, hey, that's not happening to us. So I think that's part of the fascination. It's something that we don't know about, we would never want to know about, except we can have sort of a voyeuristic peek into that world. It might not be an accurate world. I don't know. I've never been in the mafia. I don't know how accurate The Sopranos is, but it is fun to see someone else's imagining of it, and not ever have to go into that world ourselves.
Absolutely. And it's so funny. I knew you were going to say Sopranos. That's why I started. I don't know why it just popped into my head. I'm like, she's going to say Sopranos. I love The Sopranos. One of the series that really resonated with me was Breaking Bad. And I think I've watched it at least 6 times. And I've had people say to me, but you're totally against drugs. Why would you be watching? Like, to me, it's fascinating that, the whole premise that a high school teacher who was straight ace, just would become a meth manufacturer. And so it was so hard to believe, but yet you're so drawn in, but yet I'd want nothing to do with that in the real world. So maybe that is, we just check out of our life for a little while to imagine what it'd be like in this world. And then we go, you know what? Thank God I don't live in that world.
Yeah. I mean, it's escapism. Like, and especially, as we were talking about wars and other things going on that are not so great in the real world, having that escape, I think, is something that keeps us, mentally stable, I would say. Like, well, at least we're not there. At least we're not doing that. Yeah. So it really helps us appreciate what we have, I think.
I definitely agree with you. All right, let's go back to your website and let's take a look. How many books have you published? Is it 4?
4 under my own name, but I'm also a ghostwriter, and I have written over 24 books for clients. So I have to balance, my work with clients as an editor and ghostwriter with my own projects.
And look at all these awards. Congratulations. This is
Thanks.
impressive. It's amazing. Just goes
Yeah.
on and on and on and on and on. That really says something. Is there another book cover? Yes, there is. Here it is. The Impossible Guy. Take one stubborn woman, 2 gorgeous men, in a house with a zillion problems to fix. That sounds pretty cool. Tell us about this one.
Well, this one was actually based on real experience, as you might guess. So about over 10 years ago now, 15 years ago, when we had purchased our first house ever with small kids, and we thought we knew what we were doing, but we had purchased a real lemon of a house. It had tons of problems, like the pipes were leaking, the windows were broken, stuff like that. So we, jumped in sort of blind and had to fix it all up. And some of it we did ourselves, some of we hired people to help us with it. And so I took all of that experience and put it into this book, except added romance to it also. I don't know if you've ever, all of a sudden all the pipes burst in the middle of the night and you're like, I don't know how to deal with this. So that was sort of based on our own experience, my own experience with this house.
That is quite a lot to go through. And I can only share that the apartment that I'm in has been flooded twice through no fault of my own, through the people upstairs who are different people now. But it is something when all of a sudden something goes wrong in your home and you're kind of like helpless in a way. And you're in an impossible situation and you really need somebody to help you figure it out. So.
Exactly. And like, it's always when you're like, okay, things are finally balanced. I got this under control. I got this. Everything's great. And then all of a sudden there's a disaster. Right.
Exactly. So what do you want the reader to take away from that book?
That was sort of a fun, light book based on some really probably not so much fun experiences. But I always say you can laugh or you can cry. Like you can take an experience and you can just let it utterly defeat you, or you can rise above, I guess. And so I always like to laugh. I like to be more optimistic about situations because you can always get through them. As long as you're alive, you can get through a situation, right? And so this was sort of taking the lemons and making lemonade out of it. Everything is, for me, everything is material for my next book, my next story, my next article. So if something terrible happens, I'm like, wow, this will be great on the page. And I know most people don't think of that, don't think that way. But as an author, I definitely do.
It makes perfect sense. I know someone said to me, I was telling this person a story and he said, I'm going to put that in my next book. I was like, oh, that would have been a great idea for me to put into a book, but you can have it instead. You can take it. So we're going to go back to your website again, and we're going to go down to the next one, a collection of fantasy short stories, Enchantress of Books and Other Stories. Tell us about this one.
Well, first I'm going to talk about the cover because it is such beautiful cover
Mm.
artwork, and it is by, I live in Canada, and it is by a Canadian artist named Richard Ong. And I was so lucky to meet him. I reached out to him and said, I love your artwork. Let's talk. And he had this piece and was willing to offer it to me for my book cover. And you know, we got to talking. He's also a writer. He writes short stories. And we got to talking. I was like, well, this inspires a short story. Can I write a story about your artwork? And he said, of course you can. So the first story in the book is actually based, or I should say inspired by the artwork that he provided for the cover. And then the rest of the stories are fantasy stories, some which had been published in journals, some which were completely brand new before being published in this collection. So yeah, it was a great collaboration, and it started out just with a conversation with a fellow creative, and it was lovely.
And the cover is magnificent, by the way. Really beautiful.
Yeah. I will definitely pass on your compliments to him. Like, he
Yes.
does such wonderful art, and he's so prolific. He has probably hundreds of pieces out there.
Very talented person. What about this one, The Rose Queen, book 1 of the Rose trilogy?
Yeah, that's also a fantasy book. That was the first book I ever wrote. So, or should I say ever completed, because I wrote a lot of books and never finished them up until this one. And it's a retelling of Beauty and the Beast, which was always my favorite fairy tale. I love fairy tales. I don't know if you grew up like reading like Grimm's, Hans Christian Andersen.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but they're dark.
Yeah,
the original fairy tales are dark. So I always thought that was an amazing fairy tale, but it was missing so much. Like, there's so much that's unsaid about fairy tales because they're quick moral lessons for often aimed at kids or adults. So what I wanted to do was take the story and really flesh it out, make it into something that felt real. So I did that. And I actually, the whole premise, the whole unique premise of it is that I flipped the genders of the main characters. So the Beast is actually a woman. And how she deals with that is, a huge part of the story, because how she deals with it is way different from the classic fairy tale.
And it's also a beautiful cover.
Oh, thanks.
Alison, how would you say that your writing has evolved from this first published work to where you are today?
I think that I know more my voice. So when you're a new author, you're sort of flailing. You're like, okay, I love all these other authors that I've been inspired by for years. But what do I have to say myself? So I think that now I'm much more confident in what I have to say, what messages I want to impart in my fiction. And I'm way faster. So my first book, it did take a long time to sort of edit and get it out there. But now I can do it, like, it's my job. I have deadlines. I can meet those deadlines, hopefully, and get the work out. So yeah, it's definitely. I'm sorry.
Sorry, go ahead, please.
I was going to say, it's definitely something that probably you found also as a, running everything basically here. Probably when you started out, it was, a learning curve. But now you have it down pat, right?
Thank you for sharing that, making that comment. When I started, it was during the pandemic, and I was taking care of my mother who had dementia, and I was doing 10 shows a day by myself. And I always I'm standing right now. And so today we've got 28 different TV show hosts, and they're running their own shows. And we have shows in English, in French, and German. And so I feel like it's been an evolution, but I want to go back to something that you said, which was the word confidence. And I think, especially as women, when we actually apply ourselves and we follow our passion, and then you get all the awards that you have, for example, you get this sense of, you know what? I am okay. I am good enough. I did earn this. And that's such a turn on to other people. It's being an influencer without actually doing something. In other words, you're not out there, oh, look at me. But people are drawn to that because then it helps them get out of their show. What do you think about that?
Well, definitely to circle back to one thing we talked about earlier, it definitely helps with the imposter syndrome a little bit. Every time when I'm like, I don't know if this is good enough. I don't know if I should send this out. I think sometimes, well, other people thought it was okay. Other people thought my writing was okay. Sure, I'll send it out. Um, but yeah, it helps when you know what you're doing. You don't have to go back and double check maybe everything that you're talking about. You know because you've actually done it. Um, Voice of experience, right? That is something that can really appeal to others. Um, I think that uh, this is something that, as you said, is something that you can sort of project. And it has helped with that whole white knuckle speaking, nervousness that I started out with. Now I can sort of pull from my own experience and say, okay, I can do this. This is okay. Right.
Yeah, it's very true. And Allison, the other day, a couple of days ago, actually, I was driving back from the gym, and I saw on the corner of this road in this neighborhood, there was a little girl, and she was selling flowers and lemonade. And I thought, oh my gosh, I would love to follow this journey of where she's going to go and how that's going to impact her life. And I really applaud that, because if you think about when we're children, when we're young, we actually demonstrate some of these characteristics that either we're going to embrace and move forward with, or we become embarrassed and ashamed that, we're too aggressive or too outspoken, or whatever the case may be. And so when you were young growing up, did you see any characteristics in yourself that maybe you didn't let the world see? Or did you see any that you embraced? Like I mentioned, this little girl who's obviously she's in business at her age.
She's going to be running companies, man. When she's our age, she's going to be running all the companies.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I've always been super creative, and since I was very, very small, I wanted to be a writer. This was like my lifelong dream. And then, well, life got in the way a little bit. I sort of was thinking, okay, well, I need to get a job. I need to be practical about this. So my path sort of, took a left turn from what I had always hoped to do. And as you said, like when we grew up, when little kids are great. They are unstoppable forces. They know what they want to do. They want to be an astronaut, and no one's going to tell them no, right? But as you get older, you start to see more practical things, and sometimes that can interfere with your path. So it's always lovely to be able to sort of come full circle and come back to your original dream and say, hey, you know what? I wasn't wrong to dream this. What happened is, I got distracted along the way, but I can come back to this. And for me, that is writing. I've always wanted to be a writer since I was very, very small. And it took, I think, multiple jobs, meeting, my husband and getting married and having kids and seeing the confidence in my children that they have their own paths and they want to do what they want to do, to sort of bring me full circle and bring me back to my own dream. I didn't get my first book published until I was in my 30s. So, I haven't stopped since then.
You're the girl on fire. And you mentioned that you are also a ghostwriter. How do you determine whether or not you're going to take on a project?
I'm lucky that I can pick and choose because a lot of what I do for my main job is editing. So for ghostwriting, I can be more selective because it is a big commitment and you are writing in someone else's world. So you want to make sure that you're comfortable in that world. It's not for everyone, definitely, and and it can be hard to do. So making sure that first of all you have a good relationship with whoever you're working with, whether it's the author or the publisher, and also making sure that you can, complete that story is very important. It's a whole level further than doing your own work because with your own work, you're your own boss. But if you're writing for someone else, you have another voice, sometimes several, involved in the conversation.
Something that comes up for me, I hate to admit this, but I am a Real Housewives of Beverly Hills fan. And one of the main characters, Dorit, she just came out with a new book, and she mentioned that it was done by a ghostwriter. And several of the women gave her a really hard time and said, well, what, you couldn't even write it yourself? And so what I think is important for people who don't know, what is the value of a ghostwriter, and how and when do you bring a ghostwriter in as opposed to doing it yourself?
Well, I think it ties back into the idea of experience. So a lot of new writers don't have the experience, or don't, they might have a story to tell, but they aren't able to do it, like sit down, write every day, get it out. I would say that a number of people who are very, very personable and have really amazing stories to tell, they are very committed to, talking face to face, sort of like what you and I are doing now. They might not be able to sit down and write day after day. That might not be their comfort zone. So sometimes working with a ghostwriter is simply working with someone who's like a very talented interviewer who can coax that story out of them. So it is a collaborative project. It's not like the ghostwriter is writing everything, the author has, the person whose story they're telling has no input. They have a huge input. They are a huge contributor to that. So the ghostwriter is just sort of the expert that is helping them get their story out there in the way that they want it to be read and enjoyed.
And Alison, are you taking on any new clients right now if people are looking for a ghostwriter?
I'm very selective about the projects that I'm taking on. I won't say that I'm not right now. I'm always open to the right project. But I do have a number of writers and editors and publishers that I work with regularly. So I would say my schedule is very small right now to add more clients.
The good news is you're not sitting around waiting for business. I love that. That is a true sign of success. So before we close out, tell us a little bit about your work with editing. You said that that's what you do full time.
Yeah, I love to be able to help other authors. When I was just starting out, I definitely got a lot of help myself. So being able to pass that on is very, very important to me. Being able to help people that have great stories to tell, but just need someone to, again, help them get it on the page, help them get it out of their head, have the confidence to move on to the next step of publishing. That is super important. So I love being able to do that. I love working with new writers. A lot of editors will say, "Oh, well, it's more fun to work with experienced writers because, it's more streamlined." But I love working with new writers because they are like sponges. They have so much, there's so much information out there, and they will just absorb it. Um, so yeah, I love doing it every day. I love being able to have that back and forth. The relationship between an editor and author is sort of like, sort of like a marriage. You have to have someone that you really enjoy working with, whose stories you like to hear, and who you can see working with on multiple projects over multiple years. The ideal relationship is like you're not just there for the author's first book or second book, you're there for all of their books.
What a great way to sum up our show today on Unscripted. And we started out talking about Mickey Mickelson and Creative Edge. So I want to thank Mickey for sending you our way. And it's another fantastic interview. Alison, what is the best way for people to reach out to you? We've got your websites. Is there social media? Is there an email? How do you want people to contact you, and who should contact you?
Well, I am open to talking to anyone about, any subject, especially about writing and editing, if you have any questions. The best way to reach me is my website, which is alisonmcbain.com. That's Alison with one L, I always like to say, because a lot of people have two L's in their name. But all my social media contact information is on there, easy to find on my front page. So feel free to reach out and ask me whatever you have on your mind.
Thank you, Alison. I really enjoyed this episode of Unscripted. And for folks who don't know, there is no script. There's no topic. We just flowed back and forth. So I hope you'll come back and see me again. In the meantime, keep winning those awards. It's very impressive.
Well, thanks so much for having me. It was lovely to chat with you.
Thank you. Bye for now. As we close out today, I just want to ask any of you who are interested in joining our community to go over to our YouTube channels, USA Global TV and Radio and Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck, and subscribe. We have close to 113,000 on the first channel where we've earned the YouTube Silver Creator Award, and we are over 40,000 going towards 100. Slowly, but getting there on Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck. And now we're going to close out with a sponsorship from our dear friend, Mr. Red O'Loughlin, who has written this book called Aging Sucks and the Guesswork, There is Hope. It's coming out July the 3rd. Red has been with me for 5 years, doing 3 TV shows every Thursday. You know what kind of commitment that takes. And so this book is his next entree into longevity. Please take a look at it and consider pre-ordering and ordering your copies. Bye for now.
What if many of the problems we associate with aging are not random? What if there are identifiable causes behind declining energy, chronic disease, and memory problems? We have been told that aging is simply something we must accept, that slowing down is normal, that growing older means growing weaker. But what if that's only part of the story? Why do some people remain active and engaged well into their later years? Why do others struggle with disease, fatigue, and declining health? What is happening beneath the surface? What processes drive aging? In Aging Sucks, researcher, educator, and author Red O'Loughlin explores what researchers have discovered about why we grow older. No medical degree required, no confusing jargon, just clear explanations of what researchers have discovered about the processes that influence aging. You cannot stop aging, but understanding its causes may help you make better decisions about your health, your future, and your quality of life. Because understanding comes before action. Action creates hope. Aging sucks. End the guesswork. There is hope.
People are searching for experts every day. Are they finding you, or are they finding someone else? Every day, professionals are building authority through media. We've already built the platform. USA Global TV and Radio. Over 14,000 shows streamed to over 60 countries. This isn't about becoming famous. It's about leverage, visibility, credibility, opportunity. One interview, one conversation, one show, repurposed into content, connection, and business growth. Most people assume hosting a TV show requires a studio, a production team, and a massive budget. Our television packages begin at $1,500 US per month. Professional production, global distribution, replay visibility, built for voices with something to say. I'm Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck, and if this resonates with you, we should talk. USA Global TV and Radio, all rights reserved. Contact us at info@usaglobaltv.com.
How much of your value have you been giving away? Saying yes when the answer should have been no? Lowering your price to secure the opportunity? Giving more while receiving less? Over time, it adds up. Until one moment brings clarity, you've been giving away your value. This is not about working harder. This is not about doing more. It's about boundaries. It's about pricing. It's about respect. From Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck comes a direct and necessary message. Stop over-delivering. Stop underpricing your expertise. Stop negotiating against yourself. Because when you recognize your value, everything changes. Stop giving away your value. Boundaries, pricing, and the business of respect. Available now wherever fine books are sold and on Amazon. A film by USA Global TV and Radio. Executive producer Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck. Videographer and cinematic production Paul Garcia. Voiceover by Ed Vargas. Stop giving it away. Start owning it.
My Tummy Hurts by Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck. Meet Jackie. She loves recess, running with friends and laughing on the playground. At school, Jackie tries to play like she always does, but suddenly the pain comes back. Lately, something feels different and her tummy hurts, sometimes a little and sometimes a lot. With the help of a caring teacher, a nurse, her mom, and a kind doctor, Jackie begins to understand what her body is trying to tell her. Sometimes tummy pain is more than a simple bellyache. Some children live with conditions like ulcerative colitis or Crohn's disease. Jackie listens to her body. She asks for help. She knows she's not alone. And Jackie finds her way back to running, laughing, and being herself. My Tummy Hurts, a kid's guide to bellyaches and bathroom troubles by Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck, available on Amazon and in fine bookstores around the world.
Thank you, viewers and listeners of USA Global TV and Radio, for joining us today. We're honoured to have your time and attention as part of our global community. At USA Global TV and Radio, we believe in the power of authentic conversations, meaningful connections, and creating a world of possibilities together. Want to be part of something bigger? Join our team of elevated listeners at usaglobaltv.com, a space where your voice matters and your ability to listen transforms relationships. Stay connected with us across all our platforms for thought-provoking discussions, expert insights, and empowering stories. Subscribe to our channels at youtube.com/c/usaglobaltv. Follow us on social media and explore the endless opportunities we're creating for growth, learning, and inspiration. Together, we're not just broadcasting, we're building bridges and changing lives one conversation at a time. For inquiries, contact us at info@usaglobaltv.com. Produced by Executive Producer and Director Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck. Voiceover by Mike Porter. Creative direction by Paul Garcia. All rights reserved. Visit usaglobaltv.com to view our full terms and conditions.